Welcome to the Roy Rundown, a podcast designed to share insights and secrets from top experts in the college sports landscape, guiding you along your own path to success. Join us in real time as we build Roy, dive into the latest NIL trends, and uncover stories from the movers and shakers in the sports business space. You'll hear from an all-star lineup of guests, including athletes, coaches, agents, fans, athletic administrators, and more. Whether you're a student athlete, passionate fan, or anyone in between, this is your go-to resource for leveling up in the new age of college sports.
Welcome back to the Roy Rundown. Today we're thrilled to have another game-changing college athlete join us, an electric running back from the University of Minnesota, not only a standout athlete on the field, but someone who exemplifies what it means to be a leader off the field. He's very active in the community. Darius Taylor. Darius, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. So I'll give you the stage here for a moment to just share with the audience a little bit about kind of your upbringing. Like I love to hear about how you got introduced to the world of football. Where you grew up, and then we'll get into recruiting and all the good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I was raised by my grandmother Carletta and my aunt Shanika. I think that they did a great job of just raising me as just a human. A lot of my morals and my background just comes from helping the underprivileged youth. That's something that I'm just really big in, and something that I want to just use my platform and my control my own destiny of just helping the underprivileged youth. I think that playing like Little League football in the PAL, Detroit PAL, the Detroit Police Athletic League, they did a great job of just mentoring me as a young boy with not very much male guidance. My coaches were great. And then I also have my uncle, Jay, who did a great job of just keeping me with my head on straight, keeping me in sports and making sure that I'm staying on the right path. I think that there's a lot of people that I know that went along those wrong paths, and he did a good job of keeping me with my head straight, keep me going on the right path, and I think that he's a really big part of where I am today. I'm with my recruiting. Once I got towards recruiting and all that stuff, that's where my life took a turn for the best, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, a strong family upbringing. So let's talk about recruiting for a second. I'm always curious. Was there a point that you distinctly remember during whenever it was middle school, high school, when you were like, "Yep, I got it. Like I can play at the next level." Like, when you knew that recruiting was about to start to pick up?
I think that it was my 10th grade year of high school. That's when I knew that I was able to play at this level. That I knew that I could compete with just about anybody. That was when I was actually playing receiver at the time. That was before I made the switch to running back. But I was starting on varsity as a sophomore, and I led the team in touchdowns and receiving yards. So that's when I knew that I could play at this level, and I was on a different level than some of the other guys. But that was when I had that breakout year that I knew I could do it.
So 10th grade, at least 3 seasons you were kind of going through that recruiting process, or I think you might have committed a little earlier. But talk to me about the decision-making process. Like obviously being one of the top-rated running backs in the country, I'm sure you had a lot of interest, a lot of people calling, telling you this, promising that. Like ultimately, I'd love to hear just the mindset of what helped you make that decision, and then obviously what brought you to Minnesota. Like what sealed the deal?
I'd say the biggest thing that I was going through was, like I said, I didn't have much of a male role in my life for most of my life. So I was looking for somewhere where I could have that male role that could also mentor me to become a better player, but also just a better man. And with Minnesota, I think that Coach Fleck does a great job of teaching us how to become men and mentoring us on that level. And I think that that's something that I fell in love with, me and my family. We fell in love with the fact that he's going to help me grow as a man and help me become the person that I want to be towards the back half of my life. I think that he does a great job with me, and not alone just me, but my whole team. He does a great job just mentoring all those guys and teaching us how to become great men and excel at the next level.
That's great. So, it obviously sounds like a great fit there. So for the audience that might not be as familiar with University of Minnesota. Just share a little bit about University of Minnesota, like the campus, and obviously I want to get into like the fans and the community, but is that outside of what you just described in coach and the support system, did the community have an impact on your decision to go there?
I think that our campus is beautiful. It's one of the biggest campuses in the country. It's great, and we get all 4 seasons here. So, you get to see it when it's snow on the ground and when it's sunny and 90 degrees outside. So, it's great being here. The fans are great. The student body does a great job. They show up to every game. They're very active in the recruiting scene when it comes to commenting on Twitter posts and staying active and asking for guys to come here. So our fans do a great job. Students do a great job, and the fans they really give us that little edge that we need in the recruiting process. They're able to show the actual support that the university has for these athletes and me myself in the recruiting process. That was big too. Is that I could see that the University of Minnesota fans, along with the football program, wanted me here and we're going to accept me in.
And I love that. I love how you talked about the student body and obviously the fan base is a large group, but I think sometimes fans forget how much they actually fuel you on the field too, right? Like you talked about the recruiting process and them showing love, but when you get there, their ability to show up and actually support you during the season, like talk about how much that actually impacts the game for you.
It impacts it a lot. Everybody knows on third down, when the crowd is loud, it's really hard to hear in the huddle. So that helps our defense out a lot. It flushes the other team's offense, and just having that roar after we score touchdowns on offense, I think that it just gets the whole team going. It gets the offense going. Not even just myself, but just the entire team. I think that the fans just do a great job of allowing us to be free and just be happy of what's going on in the game and keeping that morale up and just boosting that joy that's already happening in the game.
Yeah, and I know the fan base there is has shown out a lot at away games, but we'll talk about fans again in a second when we get to NIL. But I want to talk quickly football. I was reading an article the other day. I think it was a recent article, obviously, because it was talking about like your game and how one of your runs like exemplified your true talent, and they used 4 adjectives. It was patience, vision, balance, and burst. Right. And I thought that was pretty powerful. Does that describe your game, the way that you see it, or talk about your game a little bit and where you think you bring the most value?
Yes, it does. That's kind of perfect. That's something that I pride myself on is having patience. I also would like to add the adjective of violent. The game of football is just a violent game in general. But playing at the highest levels, you had to play violent. To protect yourself. The defensive guys are going to play violent. So the only thing I'd like to add to that is violence. Obviously, within the confines of the rules of the game and playing the game very clean, it's just, the game in itself requires a little violence in general. So I think that being a part of my game is something that's crucial to just the way that I play.
Yeah, I like that addition. I think, that because you don't really hear that often, it adds another level of grit to your game. So, well, that's great. So let's transition a little bit into NIL. Obviously, the NIL as a term is used, every day now, but it's a reality, right? So it's a reality in college football and college sports in general. So I'd love to just hear your, just any feedback in general on how NIL has changed the game for you, why it's important and valid in today's landscape of college sports.
I think that the biggest thing in the landscape of college sports that NIL holds factors in is getting guys to come to the University of Minnesota, come to different universities around the country. I think that NIL allows for schools to be able to get certain guys that they want. It can set them apart from a different school if they're pretty even when it comes to football, like a kid's choice in football and university in itself. That NIL could be the little edge that pushes them over to come to your university. I think that it's done some tremendous things for me and my family, and also plenty of my teammates have had opportunities to get NIL and through our collective and things of that nature. I think that just allows for guys to be able to help their families, guys to be able to have some freedom outside of football, financially. So, I mean, I think that is really cool, and it's a great opportunity for me and my teammates and all the athletes all around the country. It gives them some great outlets to help their family and themselves.
Yeah, and we talked about fans before being such a big part of it, and fans are a big part. I think obviously the first several years of NIL has proven that the current system favors corporate dollars and high-end boosters or wealthy donors, which is fine because that's obviously supported for sure. But one thing that we noticed, and again, just bringing it full circle to fans, is that there's one group that's really kind of forgot about, and that's fans, right? The ability for them to directly impact a specific player, because a lot of fans that don't contribute want to contribute, but also want to understand where their money's going, and so that's kind of why we created Roy. And so I'd love to hear just some general feedback about what you like about Roy and how it's going to help you and some of your teammates.
Yeah, so I think that Roy's it's just an awesome idea. I think that's going to be an awesome company, and it allows the fans to have a voice. It allows them to get connected with players and their team directly without having to go through an outside source. I think that it provides them the transparency and the opportunities to pay specific players, so they could go pay a guy on defense, a guy on special teams that may not make the biggest in the collective or any of those deals, but play guys like on the O line and D line that they love, and maybe their favorite player or maybe just a guy that they see made an amazing play that they're just like, oh, I want to give him X amount of dollars. So I mean, it just gives them an opportunity to be able to have a almost instant and direct approach to helping out with the guys in IL or just giving them a couple of dollars. So I think that it's amazing. I mean, it'll help me, teammates, and like I said, guys all around the country. It just provides them more opportunities in the NIL landscape and just to have a couple of dollars in their pocket. So I think it's great.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. You just touched on it. Is the NIL is great and it provides an opportunity for all, but it is also skewed. Not every single athlete gets dollars from brand partnerships or from collectives, and so it kind of gives them this opportunity. I know you mentioned before, kind of how humble and giving you are, some of your teammates, and the opportunity for fans to be involved, not just to make it a transaction, but to keep their squad together. And I think something we haven't touched on or talked about a lot is it's risk free too. It's an opportunity to keep their team together for the following season. And if players do leave and go to the portal, then they get their money back. So it's a serious way to allow fan engagement and keep fans involved with their favorite players and their favorite teams. So no, I love that. One topic or not one topic, but one category that I want to get into here is, because we talked a lot about you and football on the field, but I want to give you an opportunity to just share about Darius Taylor off the field. Obviously, future goals. I know you have aspirations of playing at the next level, but talk about that for a little bit, about aspirations of playing at the next level, and then some things that fans might not know about you. We'll get into next.
I say, I mean, my dreams and aspirations to play at the next level have been since I was just starting football. I mean, watching NFL football growing up was just amazing. I think that's something that a lot of guys at this level have aspirations to do, and I think that I have a great opportunity to set myself up to make it to that level. I think that off the field, I just love to give back to the community. That's a passion of mine. It's just the underprivileged youth. Like I've worked with programs with children with incarcerated parents and things of that nature. So I mean, that's just like a lifelong goal, and that's just something that I love to do with my free time, is just help other people. I think that that's the best way to get fulfillment in life. Monetary things or goals in life may not be the most fulfilling things, in my opinion. I think that some of the most fulfilling things is just helping out people that need it and doing things with children or doing things with people that are in less fortunate situations. I think that gives true fulfillment in life. So.
Yeah, and I know we talked before, like that's important to you, and you give back not only with your time but also financially to different nonprofits, like you mentioned, and I just want to highlight that's another huge aspect of NIL that a lot of people forget to talk about. It's okay, well, players are making a lot of money, yeah, because A, they earn it and deserve it, but B, it's not highlighted enough how much players are using some of the money and financial gains they make to give back, whether it's financially or with their time. And, I know that's something that that's just important to you. And I imagine that you'll continue to do. I don't know if you wanted to talk more about that, that opportunity for you or specifically, which charities or things off the field you're involved with. But I thought I wanted to highlight that because it's not talked about enough.
Yeah, so I mean, there's guys that are on the smallest levels with their NIL money and the things that they're making. They're helping their family directly. There's guys that, I mean, we know there's people that come from less fortunate situations. So there's families back home of college athletes that are completely struggling and can't take care of certain bills or things that they need. So I mean, there's guys that are sending money back home to help their family. I mean, there's guys that are going out and helping in corporations and helping with nonprofit organizations and things of that nature. And some guys are just going back to their hometown and helping out with their youth program, putting money back into where they started and volunteering their time and money to those organizations and allowing those kids to see a role model of a guy who made it from exactly where they are right now, that where they can be and the things that they can do. And they may not come from the best situation or be around the best role models. So having a guy or girl like coming back and showing them that they can do it and they have the means to do it if they stay on the right path and follow the program like the athlete did. I mean, I think that just allows for a gain on both sides, the fulfillment of the actual athlete and also the life-changing events and conversations that those youth kids could have. It's just amazing work.
Yeah, that's powerful. And if you're a fan listening and you obviously there's a lot that want to support you for the things you do on the field and for the university, right? But outside of that, for you to have the chance to impact indirectly the things that you're impacting that you just talked about financially, like that's another way to support you, on the Roy app, things off the field. So that's powerful. Well, as we wrap up here, one question I ask a lot is because there's going to be a lot of younger, maybe younger high school athletes listening. If there's a younger football player listening that wants to get to where you are now, what would a piece of advice be?
I say the biggest thing is just keep working hard. Develop great practice habits. Understand that practice should be harder than the game. So you should practice as hard as you can at all times because, I mean, once you get to that game, it'll make the game way easier. So the biggest thing is practice habits and understanding that practicing as hard as you can will create easier gameplay and that'll create success in the end. As the easier the game is, the better you play. And that allows you to make it to this level and keep excelling and up to the next levels.
That's great advice. All right. The last thing I have for you is what we call the Roy Rundown Rapid Fire. I'm going to hit you with a bunch of questions. And the first thing that comes to your mind, you got to tell me. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
If you had to play a sport other than yours, what would it be?
Wrestling.
If you could have a dream NIL deal with any company, what company would that be with?
I'd say Chipotle.
Who's the funniest person on the team?
I'd say Jaron Mangum.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world and live a year of their life in their shoes, who's one of the first person to come to your mind?
I'd say Bezos.
That's a great one. What is one of your biggest strengths?
I'd say just the way that I'm able to connect people.
Who is one of the first people to really believe in you?
I'd say myself first, and then I'd say my grandmother, Carletta.
That's powerful. Yeah, I haven't heard that before. Yourself first. I love that one. What is one of your biggest fears?
I'd say non-fulfillment or just failure in general.
And last one here, if you can go back and give yourself a piece of advice, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, what's something you'd tell yourself?
Keep running track.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, look, man, we appreciate you taking the time here to come on the pod. Congrats on the success you've had so far. We know that there's a lot more coming your way. You got fans over here on the Roy team, and we're looking forward to following your career.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.